Hello and welcome to Real as we kick off a new year, 2019. But it will be a theme from the past which will define at least the first few months for the Catholic Church. In 2019, the Catholic Church will see renewed efforts to keep children safe. Bishops from around the world will meet with Pope Francis to discuss the sex abuse crisis and put protections in place to make sure no child becomes a victim. Earlier this week, Carolee McGrath sat down with Springfield Bishop Mitchell Brzezinski to learn more on this worldwide effort to protect the most vulnerable, as well as his thoughts as he and retired Bishop Timothy McDonald prepare to travel to Illinois to attend a retreat of all American bishops.
Springfield Bishop Mitchell Brzezinski celebrated Mass on the Feast of the Holy Family at St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield, gathering with seminarians. The annual Christmas tradition with Bishop Brzezinski celebrates the commitment of seminarians and their families who are open to God's call to serve the Church. The bishop then started off the new year attending a retreat with bishops from across the United States at the University of St. Mary of the Lake in the Archdiocese of Chicago. Pope Francis asked all bishops in the U.S. to come together in prayer.
I believe that he called us to get together, to pray together, and to reflect together on what our role is as leaders of the Church in the United States, and what is our connection with one another.
The 7-day retreat will include daily Mass, Eucharistic adoration, Vespers, an opportunity for confession, and silent mealtime. No ordinary business will be conducted at the January retreat. But all eyes are on the upcoming February meeting at the Vatican with bishops from around the world. Pope Francis called for the extraordinary meeting with presidents of bishops' conferences to discuss the sex abuse crisis that's devastated the Church across the globe.
And I believe that Pope Francis wants all of those various countries throughout the world involved so that we have a uniform way of dealing with any accusations of sexual abuse against bishop, priest, deacon, religious, or layperson working in the Church.
When the U.S. bishops met at their fall assembly in November, they unveiled standards to strengthen the protection of children, including accountability for bishops themselves. But the vote was delayed in anticipation of the meeting with the Pope. In late August, news broke about decades of sexual abuse and cover-up revealed in a Pennsylvania grand jury report. Several state attorneys general are now looking into similar sex abuse allegations and how they were handled by the Church. Since 2002 and the revelations of child sex abuse in Massachusetts, several changes have been made and policies have been put in place in the Diocese of Springfield to protect children. The Diocese's Safe Environment Program includes comprehensive criminal background checks for employees and volunteers, in addition to online Virtus training called Protecting God's Children.
First of all, I believe that the Church and members of the Church, particularly the leaders of the Church, have to listen with compassion. And so the first real reaction has to be that empathy and compassion for the person whose faith has been betrayed so awfully, and for the family members, because it does really spread out and affect the whole family. So I think that listening with compassion, hearing their stories, and allowing them to speak, and also letting them know that they are believed.
And while there's no doubt people have left the Church because of the sex abuse crisis, many say it has never been more important for Catholics to be loving witnesses of Christ, inviting people back.
What drew me to ministry, what really nourished my vocation, was the fact that it is based on the call of Jesus Christ. And my whole faith is based on Jesus Christ. I believe he gave to us the Church so that we could continue his work in the world until he returns again.
The bishop says the diocese will be holding listening sessions to address the abuse crisis in February and March. Reporting for Real to Real, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And the abuse crisis will be front and center throughout the new year. In February, the Holy Father will convene a meeting with the leaders from the various bishops' conferences from around the world. In one of his final December addresses, Pope Francis acknowledged the gravity of the clerical sexual abuse crisis, telling members of the Roman Curia that the Church's strength does not depend on its members' perfection, but on the willingness to recognize its failings and correct them.